Hi, welcome back to the farm. My name is Roz, also known as Passion Flower, and you'll find me here each week talking about my farming and creative life. Feels pretty icy cold today. The sun is out now. It's only sort of just kind of broken through for us here, but it is going to be a nice afternoon, and I think that I might go for a walk in the bush again. I haven't had as many chances to go for walks this week. It has been reasonably wet and cold, and I've also had a few longer days at work and not getting home until after dark. So I'm looking forward to getting out now while the blue sky is above me and it's not too cold and windy, and enjoy the afternoon. After having the sheep apart for quite a while, they are now all back together in their main paddock, and I'm hoping that they're all going to behave themselves. I had separated them because Evie, my girl, was on heat, and Vito, my boy with the horns, has a little bit of testosterone in him, or sort of remnants of, like call it a rig. Like, he wasn't properly castrated when he was young. I didn't discover that until after I had purchased him, and it was about a year in. I thought he already was. Couldn't see anything, hanging down. And so got the vet out, but they weren't 100% sure that they got it all. And it appears like they haven't. So when Evie goes on heat, he gets excited, and then he just starts chasing her around, and it becomes a bit of a fiasco for a little while. It's felt like a lot longer this year. I think it was from March or April, and we're right on the end of July now. So quite a few months. I tried putting them back in together a couple of times, even this past weekend, and it didn't seem like it was going to go well. I was wondering if I potentially had to keep Vito by himself all the time. And um, because he was still showing quite a bit of interest in her, and also the two that have been by themselves or together but without him were like headbutting him, and he was headbutting them, and there was like a chasing going on. I'm like, I don't know if it was just because I was watching, but I couldn't deal with it, so I separated them back out again. But during the week, I got a phone call to tell me from the lady who comes up here and agists her horses. She comes up during the week to check on them, that Vito had gotten out. And so then she opened the main gate, to try and get Vito back in that paddock. And then Evie got out, and then Hurley was just running up and down the fence line, not sure what to do, but he didn't end up coming out of the paddock. And they kind of ran around a little bit. And in the end, she managed to get them back in to where Vito had been. Um, the two of them, so Evie and Vito, and Hurley was in the main paddock all by himself. And so then when Adam got home, he let them all in together in the main paddock, and they have been fine since then. So I know, maybe it was just me, and I just needed to not watch them and just walk away and just let them sort themselves out. But maybe it was because they enjoyed a shared moment of their, like, sheep escapades, running around the stock run, and getting some different grass that had bonded them all together, and then they are now all back together and seem to be reasonably happy, which is good because now I can let the grass rest in this area just out here. And clearly the fence out here was in pretty poor shape. I've literally got star pickets with mesh fencing in between, and Vito was standing on it and then putting his front legs over it, and obviously he got his whole body over. So I have been planning. I've already marked out what I want to do, and measured the distance. So I just need help from Adam to figure out the amount of supplies that I need in terms of posts and all that kind of thing. And I'm going to run round posts with rail, and then attach the mesh wiring that I already have to those rails as well. And I think that'll make a much more secure, tidier looking fence than what is currently out there. And it will continue to give me the flexibility to be able to have them in there, have them in their main paddock, and move them around a little bit, and have a much nicer and secure fence. So last week I talked about my Sophie scarf and how I'd made that out of my 8-ply brushed merino base that I call Aura. And after I was editing my video, I realized that I actually hadn't listed any of that yarn base on my website after I'd finished with markets. I had talked about it here and I was holding it all for market. And since then, I've dyed up some more and different colors on that same base. And I went to just list those ones and realized that none of it was up there. So if you've been looking for that yarn, or you saw it at one of the events that I was at earlier in the year and you didn't get a chance to purchase any, or you did and you really enjoyed it, it is now all live on the website, and I will be working on getting some additional colors dyed up hopefully in the next few weeks, because as I said, it does make a really beautifully warm and soft and cozy scarf, and I think that we should all have something like that at this time of year to keep us nice and warm. First to what I'm wearing this week, this is the comfy jumper from the 52 weeks of Easy Knits. It is out of my own yarn in the teal not green colorway, held with a strand of my wispy lace base in the wildflowers colorway. And because it is so icy cold today, this is the first jumper that I go to. It is so lovely and warm. And now that I'm sitting in here with the sun coming through a little bit, it is perfectly toasty and I am not feeling the cold, which is really lovely. I only have two active projects. One is the jumper that I have been working on for the past few weeks, and one is a WIP that I picked up from the pile that is in front of my yarn storage. I took a photo of what it looks like, the mess of my bags on the floor, and then I was started to look into them. So I thought maybe I would do a video talking about my WIPs and what I was going to do with them. And I picked one up and I remember what it was, and it is the perfect winter thing to knit on, and it is also reasonably easy without being boring. So I'll show you that first, because I don't think I'll talk about the rest of my WIPs this week, because I've got something else that I want to talk about that was asked by a viewer in the comments from last week's video. So first to the the Small Honeycombs Shawl by Stephen West, and it is out of my own hand spun yarn is the color. This is what I have left of the hand spun. I think it's by the Colored Wool and Fiber Company. And I have a little bit more pink that I applied on itself as well. So, yeah, it's going to be really pretty, I think. So it's going into sort of like orange, yellow, and purple now, and then into mostly purple, and then into purple and pink, and then pink right at the end. And it started at blue, went through to like a teal, then into like a dark green, then a sort of pinky red, some orange, and then brown. So it's actually quite large. The what do you call it? Is it like the main color? The light color here is Queensland Collection Drover, which is a merino silk tweed. It's 50% merino, 25% silk, and 25% polyamide. And it is grey, but it's got these tiny little flecks of colour. So it kind of picks up on all of the colours that I have in the shawl. I'm kind of thinking it's going to be more like a throw around the shoulders or over the legs while I'm on the couch, rather than a shawl that I'm going to wear out of the house, because it is quite heavy and it's been lovely and warm to knit on in the evenings. I am working on size 4.5 mil needles. And when I picked it up at the start of this week, I was down where this rainbow marker is. So I've done one, two, oh, I finished that honeycomb. So I did one, two, three honeycombs, and I'm into my fourth one here now. So it's actually already very, very big. And I chose this pattern because I thought that it'd be a really nice way to highlight the hand spun that I had done. And I talked about last week too that I had not done a lot of knitting with my hand spun. And then I saw this and went, that's right, I still have this shawl. And I still have plenty of this to go. I've got plenty of these balls. I think I'll end up having enough of this yarn to probably make something with just this as well, or in another project. It's got a beautiful I-cord edge, so it hides being able to carry up the hand spun without having to cut the yarn. And once you kind of get your slip stitches done for the first row of the color, you don't have to think about it. You can just follow along. And yeah, I forgot how much I enjoyed this. There's a couple of spots you can see that have, where are they, over here, that have clip markers. They were weak spots in my own hand spun yarn that I just need to go back and like reinforce so that they won't break later on. But really, really pretty, and something that I am glad that I thought about and opened up that bag and have continued on with it. The other thing I'm working on is my Galan jumper by Marie Amelie Designs, and that is in a grey yarn with a strand of silver thread, and I have now split for the sleeves, and I am working around on the body. I haven't done a stack of it. I kind of got carried away with the shawl once I had discovered it, but I did do a little bit, and the cats do like to sit on me while I'm knitting on this, so I haven't done as much as I probably would have liked to. I've done just this much of about 2 centimeters maybe of the body, and the sleeves are now on holders. So it's actually should be this way in. So I'm knitting it inside out. There are my, if I put my hands in here, you should be able to see it nicely. There's the yoke. I have decided that I'm going to continue the pattern all the way down the front. This is now the right side as it will be worn. I did try it on and it fits really well. The armholes are a good size, and I am just ready to work down the body. You do have to concentrate a little bit because it's not just the patterning as established. You're doing decreases on the side I think it's every 8 rows, and increases through the middle, so that these rays, or the lace pattern, disperse out as it gets down the body, so they get wider through the middle, and you do that by decreasing on the side and increasing each side of your lace pattern as you go along. So the question I got from a viewer last week was, how do I determine when to split for sleeves? And I answered it a little bit online, but I thought that I would try. I don't know if I'm going to be able to without waffling too much and making absolutely no sense, but that I would try and do a little bit more of an explanation here. So my first suggestion would be to go to some of your commercially bought tops that are either yoked or raglan and have a look at them and figure out why they fit you there, and get a measurement with a raglan from just follow that raglan line and measure it. And if you can get then that that depth with your own knitting, then that will fit you. So on here you can easily see that raglan line. I based this on a loose t-shirt that I wanted to fit the same sort of style. There were not that very many cast on stitches under the arm, so basically whatever the raglan increases were was where I was going to knit to. Sometimes you need to do a little bit of improvisation and not follow the pattern 100%, because if your gauge is wrong in terms of your row depth, you're not going to hit the right yoke length, with the amount of raglan increases that are in the pattern. So you might need to either do a few more increases, like maybe go up to the next size and then decrease back down when you get to the body to get the right number of body stitches. Or you can increase up to your size and then you can just knit plain for a few rounds, which is what I did with this yoked jumper. I knit the yoke and then I wanted to make the armhole a little bit deeper, so you can see that I just knit plain for a little bit and then I split for the sleeves. So you kind of end up getting a feel for it, and which is disappointing because sometimes the first go around doesn't work. And I have split for sleeves before and then gone back and had to rip back. So if you're really unsure, maybe put in a lifeline before you split for the sleeves, and then you can do a little bit of work past there and then maybe try it on again, keeping in mind the number of stitches that you've got at your underarm and how many stitches you're going to pick up, because it might suggest a different pickup rate to the number of stitches that you cast on. And then if it's not right, you can rip it out and you can try it again. I know that's probably really frustrating, but I know the first jumper that I made, the sleeves were so tight and it just did not work. So it is always worthwhile putting in that little bit of effort to make sure that you're going to end up with something that fits and that you're happy with. When I'm trying something on and I haven't done the cast on for the number of stitches yet, I try and estimate how long that part is going to be. The last few times I've done that, I have got a piece of cotton and crocheted the number of stitches that are cast on and kind of attach that underneath the arm. You need to make sure that you put your sleeve stitches on nice big needle cables, like long cables, and then attach the number of stitches that you're going to end up with here. And then that gives you a little bit of, it's not going to be 100%, but at least it gives you a bit more of a proper idea when you're trying them on. But once you kind of know this measurement, you can look at the schematic and you can hopefully choose the size that's going to fit you based on your actual numbers. And then it's just making sure that your gauge then gets you there, and then doing a little bit of increasing the amount of rows or decreasing the amount of rows, or maybe even increasing the number of stitches that you cast on under the sleeves to be able to get to a size that you're going to really feel comfortable with. I hope that was helpful. I feel like I rambled and maybe even lost my train of thought for a little bit there, but hopefully it all came together. Well, that's it for another week. Thanks for spending some time with me. If you're enjoying these videos, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I look forward to seeing you next week on the farm. Bye.